Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'll be your host today. I'm Jim Cockrum. I'm the guy that started this podcast. Welcome if this is your first episode or one of the first. We're glad you've joined us today. Typically, most episodes of our show feature successful students from our community who listen to this podcast sharing their success journey. We love doing those interviews. We've got a bunch of them lined up and coming at you. But today I want to spend some time, just you and me, talking about something that's very commonly misunderstood among Amazon sellers, especially new Amazon sellers. But there's many seasoned pros as well that get this wrong. And it's unfortunate because a lack of understanding in this area means you are walking past great inventory and great potential asins all day, every day. There's products you should be selling at very profitable prices, but you're doing your research in such a way that you eliminate those products from consideration prematurely, unnecessarily eliminating great inventory that you could and should be testing against and selling against. What do I mean? Well, let's talk about the buy box today. I think our community is at the forefront of understanding and explaining and diving into the possibilities of the Amazon buy box. We've spent a lot of time studying it. We know what the limitations of the tools are that are available to us to talk to us about the buy box. And let's perhaps start here with a very basic understanding of what the buy box is, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about there. So when you're shopping on Amazon, you're looking for something to purchase, you're going to notice that there's typically a default price that's shown. There may be 50 sellers, let's say, but there's only one price showing. And Amazon, in its wisdom and intelligence, likes to take a stab at which of the 50 sellers you'd most likely buy from if you took your time and looked at all 50 seller options. And they put that one seller and that one price point in the buy box. Meaning if you just click, yep, I want to buy this item, and you don't even look at the list of 50, that's the person you're going to be buying from. That's the unit you're going to purchase. There may be 50 different prices from 50 different people, but one has the buy box. We also know that the buy box tends to rotate. We also know that Amazon is very secretive about the buy box algorithm and how and when and why it rotates. We also know, if I'm listing out facts, that the vast majority of Amazon experts, I'm using air quotes now because I wouldn't consider a lot of folks out there teaching Amazon strategy to be experts, as certainly as measured by, hey, where's your community of successful students, right? That's the best way to measure an expert, correct? So you've got a lot of experts out there saying, hey, here's how you win the buy box. You got to win more buy box. We've got tools set up to help you win buy box. Everyone's focused and almost obsessed with buy box. You get on YouTube, and a lot of people who are making content for resellers are obsessively talking about the buy box. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's all unnecessary. Actually, it's dangerous. It's very limiting. And I'm going to explain why. So my goal today, now that you understand what the buy box is, and if you don't understand, just go over onto Amazon and find any product that has more than a handful of sellers, and you'll see only one of them wins the buy box. Oh, one other thing I should say about the buy box is sometimes there is no buy box. That's called a suppressed buy box. So have you ever noticed sometimes you'll be scrolling through and there's no price assigned to a product? You're like, what's going on here? And Amazon makes you click a button to see the buying options. Total annoying as a shopper. Completely unnecessary. Serves no legitimate, valid purpose that I can possibly explain or explore. Maybe you have a reason why Amazon suppresses the buy box. They certainly don't explain it well. It makes shopping inconvenient. It makes selling certainly more challenging if you don't know what it means to see a suppressed buy box. So to me, just to give you a little insight, when I see a suppressed buy box, to me, that means opportunity. To me, that means Amazon is simply saying, hey, world, we don't like the prices that shoppers are willing to pay for this item, so we're hiding the prices. That's literally all it means to me, is Amazon doesn't like the prices that recent shoppers are willing to pay on that item, so they hide the price points. Makes no sense. Completely irrational. Certainly isn't a free market concept. But That's how Amazon operates on that front. So, okay, it's their playground. They can hide the price and make you click an extra button to see the prices. That's fine. But to me, that just shouts opportunity. And I'll explain more about that in just a moment. So now we know what the buy box is. And we also know that for the most part, the industry of experts, using my air quotes again, are teaching you how to win the buy box, focus on the buy box, use tools to give you an advantage to get more of the buy box. We don't do that here. Instead, we want you making sales, not winning the buy box. We want you making sales. And here's a story that helps me illustrate this, because you may not yet be convinced that you don't have to win the buy box to make steady, consistent sales. Maybe that is a concept that's foreign to you. You're convinced that the obvious way to win more sales is to win the buy box more often. And I'm not arguing against winning the buy box. I mean, certainly if I've got a product that I can make profitable sales at buy box level consistently, I'm all for that. That's beautiful. Go for it. But you can't argue. It's a lot easier to find products if you're not worried about the buy box and you know you're going to be able to make consistent sales without winning the buy box. Here's one of the best recent examples from our community. And there's a link where you can go and watch a full video where I really dive into this specific example and a handful of others as well, a good handful of others actually. But consider this scenario. What would you do in this scenario? There's a popular product, easily sourced from any retail store. You can buy them in any quantity easily, fairly inexpensive product. Let's say it costs $1 or $2. There are 200 other people selling this same product. Now, this is a real example, okay? Hang with me. You get on Amazon and you look and you see 200 people already selling this product. The buy box is floating around $7 or $8 typically. It costs $1 for you to source it. And you think to yourself, yeah, once I do the math and send it in, and it's break even at best at the, let's say it's a $6 to $8 buy box rotation, and you see people all over that price point, 200 people, as a matter of fact. So what do? You price it at $15 as the highest priced seller on the asin. What would you expect to happen? Now, typically, if you've been following the buy box training and all of the repricing training and all of the YouTube experts out there, you're crazy to go into that scenario. It makes no sense whatsoever to go into that scenario, given the facts that I've given you so far. 200 sellers, buy boxes barely break even. What are your odds of making any sales at all? Why would you even get on this product? Thousands of units available from other sellers. Well, here's what our student knew that the vast majority of sellers don't know about the buy box. And we train our new students in these concepts. So you have an advantage day one. We have a module inside the Proven Amazon course training that emphasizes above buy box strategies. And I'll explain why these are so useful to you in just a moment, why it's important. There's many more reasons than you might realize for you to understand how the buy box works and why it doesn't matter. So let's go back to our scenario. So our student priced his units at $15, making him the highest priced seller among 200 other sellers on the exact same product. What would you expect to happen to his inventory? The most common answer, makes sense, would be he doesn't sell any, because why in the world would a shopping customer pay $10 more than they have to for a product? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, as it turns out, he actually sold well over a couple thousand units very quickly in just a few weeks. He sold way over 2,000 units of this product as the highest priced seller on the asin with 200 other sellers. Let that sink in. Rewind and re-listen to the past couple minutes if you have to. Whatever you think you understand about the buy box right now, the scenario I just gave you has to fit into your explanation and understanding of the buy box. And I'm going to tell you why this makes total sense to me. It came as no surprise. It's a cool example, but we see this all day, every day across hundreds of thousands of asins. And until you understand it, you're missing out on tremendous opportunity where you could be the highest price or one of the highest priced sellers on hundreds of thousands or even millions of different asins. making steady, consistent sales without having to worry about winning the buy box. Don't be obsessed with the buy box. I actually considered getting a t-shirt that says, please ignore the buy box for new sellers. Stop obsessing over winning it, because yes, sure, you may win more sales there, but they're going to be less profitable. And there's plenty of asins, once you learn to recognize them, where you can sell for way above buy box. Never win the buy box and win sales. So why is it? Do you know? Do you have any guesses? Maybe you should pause this episode so that this lesson really sinks in. If you're unfamiliar with where I'm going with this and why it is that he was able to sell more than 2,000 units as the highest priced seller among 200 other sellers, what's going on there? He was a brand new seller too. He'd never sold on Amazon 3 months before this happened. He had a very low seller rating score. He understood something about Amazon, though, that we teach to all of our new students, and he took full advantage and went all in and did great. Do you know why? Pause the episode. See if you can figure out why. See if you can fix this brain teaser in your mind. This is a real story. And again, I'll give you a link to where I go into this example and others in a full free 1-hour video where I really step you through it. I'll give you that link in a moment. But I want you to see if you can think of why. All right, so I'm going to assume you paused it if you intended to. Here's what happened. He noticed that there weren't a lot of FBA sellers on this particular ASIN. The vast majority of sellers were merchant fulfill. So if you're new around here, merchant fulfill simply means sellers who are shipping it from their own garage. So they went and bought some units. They've got them sitting in their house. And if a customer places an order for, in this case, $5, $6, $7, $8, they're going to put it in a box and ship it to that person. The fastest that product could possibly arrive, even if the buying customer lives across the street, you can't walk it over to them. You got to go through Amazon's shipping process. Print the label, gets picked up, goes through the shipping process. The fastest that customer is going to have it is 3 or 4 days from now. That's fast, 3 or 4 days. Okay, so are there any faster options available? Yeah, that would be the FBA sellers. So let's throw out 190 of the sellers on this product who are selling at merchant fulfill. And I'm just using a round number. I don't know exactly how many there were, but the vast majority of sellers were merchant fulfilled sellers. So as an FBA seller, the merchant fulfilled sellers are not your competition on this product. So when I said there's 200 other sellers, there's really only 10, 15 other sellers that you're competing with for the customers who want speed. Because you may not be aware, but Amazon has the capability of getting products to the front step of shopping customers within a few hours in many major metropolitan areas. You can have 2-hour delivery. With drone delivery coming, they're talking about half-hour delivery times. So when you start to think about the example, are you starting to understand? Is it starting to click yet? Why this seller was able to make so many sales as the highest priced seller? Well, he was only competing with a handful of other sellers for customers who wanted the product quickly, which, as it turns out, was a lot of people. And that's how a lot of people shop all day, every day on Amazon. A little sidebar. As a suggestion, if anyone at Amazon is listening, there's 2 changes you could make that would help Amazon make a lot more money, make your shoppers really, really, really happy, and make sellers' lives way easier. It's the ultimate 3-way win suggestions that I'm giving you today. One of them we already discussed, the suppressed buy box. Why in the world would you hide the prices from people? Remember I said when Amazon hides the buy box entirely and you have to click a button to see all the pricing options? What is Amazon really communicating? If you're a smart seller, what they're communicating is they don't like the prices that shoppers are willing to pay for those items, which really means, hey, shoppers or sellers, jump on this product with a fairly high price. You might do pretty well here because customers really want this product and they're willing to pay a lot for the convenience of Amazon delivery. So that's my first suggestion for Amazon. Please get rid of the suppressed buy box. It's silly, it's petty, it serves no one's best interest. It's a completely useless feature that only creates inconvenience for everyone and lowers the sales volume on those asins. It's ridiculous. Get rid of it. My other suggestion, has to do with this above buy box strategy that we're talking right now. Because remember, all those people, 2,000 customers purchased above buy box, not only above buy box, but the highest priced seller. Why did they choose our student at $15 per unit when they could have paid $5, $6, or $7 for this product, for the same product? I already told you, because of speed. He sent his inventory in to Amazon's warehouses. Amazon dispersed his inventory across various warehouses where it was most needed. And now customers had the option to get the product delivered super fast. In some cases, between 2 to 4 hours fast. So they took that. Put yourself in this scenario. You can wait 3 or 4 days and save $10, or you can have the product today. Which would you choose? Well, some people would wait. A lot of people don't want to wait. And if you're one of just a few people offering the fast option, you're going to win sales without ever winning the buy box. I can't emphasize this enough. Our student never won the buy box, not once. He wasn't anywhere near winning the buy box, but he won a bunch of sales. Why? Because customers who wanted speed sorted the list of sellers by delivery date. Doesn't that make sense? Actually, that's what they tried to do, was sort by delivery date. This takes me to suggestion number 2 for Amazon. There's another feature going on that would be easy to fix in about 5 minutes of programming. Any decent level programmer should be able to fix this flaw in Amazon, but it's never been fixed. And here's what it is. As a shopper, you cannot sort the list of products and the list of sellers by delivery date. By default, they put the cheaper options towards the top, and you can scroll down. If there's 200 sellers, that's almost eBay level inconvenience of sorting through and shifting around and looking at different options. Who needs that? Give us the ability to sort by price, yes, which already exists, and then by delivery date. Please, Amazon, as a shopper, what a cool feature to have. Why don't you have that feature? You would make so many more sales to so many rushed in a hurry shoppers who want to see what's the fastest option. I don't care about price. I just want to see the fastest option. Right now, you've got to sort through and scroll through all the sellers to find the ones that can get it to you the fastest. Sometimes they win the buy box, but usually they don't. Amazon's algorithm for assigning the buy box typically goes to the sellers who have prices on the lower end of the price scale, and they rotate through those sellers. So let's go back to our friend's example here. Our student who sold 2,000 plus units in just a few weeks as the highest price seller among 200 other sellers. How was he winning sales? Customers were looking through the 200 sellers and finding him as the fastest delivery option because he'd sent his products in FBA, meaning it's being fulfilled from Amazon's fulfillment center very quickly to the buying customer. FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. That means it's in their warehouse and it can be on your porch fast. So that's suggestion number 2 for Amazon. If you're following along in my examples, I'm educating sellers and I'm talking to Amazon. If they're listening, there's 2 suggestions. Get rid of the suppressed buy box. That's suggestion number 1. It's a ridiculous feature. Another ridiculous feature that you don't have is the ability to sort by delivery date. If I'm looking at a bunch of different buying options from a bunch of different sellers on the same product, let me sort by date. Why won't you let me sort by date? I think I know why. Because Amazon wants to be perceived as a low price option for shoppers. And that's cool. And I understand the strategy. But not all of us are obsessed with saving a couple dollars and waiting 4 or 5 days. Some of us want fast. Now, at least they do put the delivery dates on there so you can scroll through and find your options. But they need to let us sort by date. That would help everyone. It would help shoppers. It would help sellers, especially those of us who understand the above buy box strategies. It would really help us. And it would help Amazon make more sales. Convenience and speed, more margin, right? Great. Amazon gets paid a percentage of the sale price. So everybody wins. Wins everywhere for everyone if they would give us the option to sort, not just by price, but also by delivery date. Okay, you get the point. So this should start to open up your eyes a little bit about what the buy box is. Now let's talk about tools like Keepa. You know what? Before we move on to Keepa, let me give you a link, silentjim.com/1000, 1000, silentjim.com/1000. It's step-by-step, everything you need to have your first $1,000 sales day. I'm just giving, I pull back the curtains, I show you everything. And the example I gave you about our student who sold 2,000 units in a very short period of time, I break down his example so that it really drives the point home. It's not about finding the best possible low prices and winning the buy box. That is a great strategy. We have a lot of people make a lot of money with that strategy. But a far easier strategy, especially if you're new, is to find low-priced products. Is to find products where you don't have to be the low price, where you can be one of the highest priced sellers and you're still winning consistent sales. There's inventory everywhere for that. I think you'd agree. If you're not worried about having to be the lowest price, it opens up a lot of asins. Amazon has 1.3 billion asins. It would take us well over 30 years just to look at all of them briefly for a second each. And hundreds of thousands or millions of them are good candidates for above buy box strategies where you can test a few units and make nice, consistent, steady sales. It's such low-hanging fruit once you understand how this works. And if you want to have that broken down, silentjim.com/1000 is very helpful. There's one other link I'll stick in the show notes as well. This is where I've given 200 examples from my own Amazon seller account of the Keepa charts for above buy box asins, where we've successfully sold product at, if not the highest price among all the other sellers, very near the highest price among other sellers. That's silentjim.com/BB70, BB as in buy box, BB70. I'll stick that link in the show notes as well. If you haven't seen those two resources, completely free, one's in our free Facebook group, one's on YouTube, go check them out. It's really going to open your eyes as to what the possibilities are with understanding the buy box in Amazon. Okay, now let's talk about Keepa, because one of the things that we love Keepa. Go listen to podcast episode 369 if you haven't heard it yet, 369 of this podcast. We talk about Keepa, why we love it, what it does. They scrape Amazon data in such a way that no other tool does. If any other tool out there is useful at all, it's because they've integrated Keepa data into the tool to help you make good inventory purchasing decisions. So here's something that's very misunderstood about Keepa. I know of very few people that even talk about this, but it's glaringly obvious once you understand it. Let me pull back the curtains on what Keepa can and can't do. Let me give you an example. Let's look at an ASIN. Let's look at a listing on Keepa. And you pull it up and it says a certain buyer has 100% of the buy box. Most people assume that seller, I said buyer, that a single seller has 100% of the buy box for an ASIN. Most people would assume that means that seller is winning all the sales. So there's no opportunity there for anyone else. They look at the data, they look at the buy box rotation data inside Keepa, and it says one seller is winning the buy box 100% of the time. It would make sense, like no room for anyone else, I'm moving on, right? No, you'd be very wrong. There's other indicators that I'm not going to get into here that can tell you that sales are happening. One of my favorites is the number of sellers coming and going. Is it bouncing up and down and moving? Is there a party happening in the number of seller count? Is it going from 5 to 9 to 12, back down to 7, sellers coming and going means people are running out of inventory. So if one seller's getting all the sales, how is it sellers are coming and going and running out of inventory, right? That's my first clue that I want to give you. But the other thing I want to point out, it may have never occurred to you, and this is vital for you to understand about Keepa. Keepa can't possibly monitor the buy box across all zip codes in the United States. You are aware, are you not? And this is huge. This is going to be a huge aha moment for a lot of people, that when Keepa reports buy box data, it's looking at one zip code in the United States to report that data. It could be Chicago, it could be a Los Angeles zip code, it could be Miami, it could be the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, who knows? But they can only tell you the buy box data for one place. The buy box is different in different cities across the United States, especially on the most popular products, all day, every day. You could have asins on Amazon that at any given time have, let's say, 40 different buy boxes for 40 different regions of the United States, which makes sense when you think about it, because they're going to show the shopper the price point and the delivery date that they think makes the most sense for that shopper. And it could be a warehouse that's just a couple miles from them that has inventory ready to go at a price that Amazon thinks is competitive. So that unit sitting in that warehouse near that shopper wins the buy box for that particular shopper. Doesn't that make sense? So you could have 40, 50 or more buy boxes for any given ASIN at any given moment in time. So if you become obsessed about winning the buy box, which zip code are you obsessed about? And how can you possibly track that? So just another reason why focusing and obsessing on the buy box is total nonsense if you're going to have an adequate understanding of what it means to find great ASINs and list them at good prices that are profitable to you. So hopefully this is a good insight for you. What does this mean? I think the best summation of what I've shared with you today is, if you're a new seller especially, please do not become obsessed, as I would say 95% of all resellers on Amazon are obsessed with the buy box. You're focusing, it's like you're trying to look through a pane of glass. You know, let's say you've got a large pane of glass that shows you a beautiful landscape, and let's say that glass is now dirty, and someone says, hey, you know, look at that landscape. You're like, all right, well, I'd like to see it, but it's dirty. I can't see anything. So someone comes up to you and says, oh, here, let me clean a little tiny spot. Right. They wipe with their little finger, and now you've got this little hole you can look through. Being obsessed with buy box is like looking through that little hole at the Amazon opportunity landscape. And now you can see just a tiny little piece, and you can look around, and you can know enough to be dangerous, and you can get a feel for what's going on out there. But once you understand some of the lessons I've shared with you today, it's like someone comes along with a big bottle of Windex and a bunch of paper towels and cleans the whole thing. And now you can look all the way to the left, all the way to the right. You can stand back. You can see the whole thing. That's what we want for you, to be able to see the whole landscape. If you're obsessed with buy box, you're looking through a tiny little peephole at a beautifully massive landscape. So you know enough to be tempted. You know enough to be dangerous. You know enough to think, well, if I can buy it for $5 and the buy box says $18, I might make $4 once this is all said and done. This is great. I'm going to buy one of these. I'm going to buy a few of these. Hopefully I can win the buy box. If that's your attitude about Amazon, you're missing out on so much opportunity right now. So let's go back to that example I used earlier. Hopefully this ignites some excitement inside of you. This new seller who'd been in our community for only a few months, you can actually hear him on a podcast episode. I'll stick a link to it in the show notes today for you. We've got many, many, many more examples as well. This is just a recent, really cool example. The guy that bought product that cost $1 or $2, he was selling it for $15 as the highest priced seller against 200 other sellers, and sold 2,400 units just a couple of weeks. Wow, pretty cool, right? It wasn't just a one-off story. Shoppers shop like this all day, every day on Amazon, and you have an opportunity to get in on it. So I've given you some resources today. Hey, if you're ready to get started and jump into this community with both feet and learn, this is just one strategy. This is just one insight. We've got so many. Remember, we've got a leadership team of about 100 people. We've got 60 coaches on our team. We've got 2,000 success stories posted in our Facebook group. We've interviewed hundreds of those students on this podcast episode. The validation, the credibility is there. If you're ready to get going, here's a few things you can do. First, just enjoy our free resources, this podcast, our Facebook group. There's a link at silentjimdotcom to that, the resources I've given you today. And I'll stick both those in the show notes. And here's the next step. Get into the Proven Amazon course. For $39 a month, you get all the Amazon seller training updated monthly. You get our entire library, starting off with clueless newbies, taking you all the way through the dozen or two, couple dozen different ways that you can make money on Amazon. In-depth modules based on experience and success from our community. It's the longest running Amazon seller training in the industry, constantly being updated and improved. So $39 a month gets you everything. Or if you want some one-on-one hand-holding, you want to work with a coach on our team, get over to silentjim.com, click on coaching, or go straight to silentjimdotcom/book a call and get on our calendar. We'd love to have a conversation about working with you one-on-one and help you get ramped up fast. By the way, that student I was talking to you about earlier who had the highest price among 200 sellers and sold thousands of units in a short period of time, he was a coaching student. Actually, a guy from this area, ran into him not too long ago. Hi, MR. Appreciate you, man. Keep up the good work. So I got a link to that podcast episode for you as well in the show notes. Lots of good stuff today for this episode. But if you're ready to get going, hey, let's connect. We'd love to help you on your journey. Thanks for being the best part of our podcast. Thanks for being a listener to Silent Sales Machine Radio. If you wouldn't mind, tell a friend about our show. That's how we grow. That's how we keep expanding. That's why we add about a couple hundred people a week to our free Facebook group. It's all word of mouth. People saying, hey, these guys are creative. They're supporting you. We don't see you as a competitor. We see you as a fellow business building warrior, and we cannot wait to learn lessons from you as you grow and share your story with us. God bless you. We'll have another great episode for you real soon.